Hey everybody, how's it going? Russell Matthews here. Now this is just a quick video to let you know that tomorrow, that's Monday, March 1st, the 11th CRB application period will be opening up. And as I like to do anytime a new application opens up, I like to go over all the news over the past 2 weeks that have happened in relation to benefits and the CRB to let you know of any changes that have happened and to sort of summarize all the videos I've been putting out over the past couple of weeks because let's face it, not everybody has time to watch every single one, although I appreciate it if you do. First, I want to show you something that's new that's changed on the CRB website. Now it says that eligibility period limits may be extended. We're going to talk about this more in the rest of this video, but it says the government has announced a proposed extension to the CRB eligibility period limits. The change would allow eligible recipients to apply for a total of 19 periods, 38 weeks, between September 27th, 2020 and September 25th, 2021. So that's the extension to the CRB. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, but it's interesting that they use some soft language here, like proposed, right? They were going to beef it up to a total of 19 periods, but if we scroll down here, you can actually see that they say your eligibility ends after 13 periods. So whether this is just the case that they haven't updated the website, or if there's some other things that they need to go through in order to make these changes official, that remains to be seen, and I'll keep you updated on that. So as usual, links to all of these videos will be down in the description so you can pick out which ones you want more information on. And of course, if you haven't already done so, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for constant Canadian updates that are important to you. All right, let's get into this. The first thing we talked about was a form that was sent out to absolutely every single person who received a benefit through the CRA. This form is called a T4A form. In the video, we go into detail about how you can use this form to make sure that the government doesn't think that you got more benefits than you actually did, and how you can use this form to get your taxes ready this year, because let's face it, it's going to be a complicated tax season. Now, if you are in the other group of people that received CRB through Service Canada, or you received EI, it's likely that you're going to get a different type of form. This is called a T4E form, but it roughly does the same thing. It'll show you how much income you need to include on your taxes from these benefits, because again, these benefits are all taxable. Even if they withheld the tax like they did on the CRB, you could still owe a little bit of money there. And if you didn't yet receive this in the mail, that's okay too, because in this video we go over how you can log into your CRA account to actually find this information online. So again, if you didn't receive it in the mail, you can double check to make sure all of that information is accurate, and you can take the information that you need to do your taxes right from that website. And there's also going to be a tax video coming out on the channel soon to help you go through this tax season and show you which forms you need to do because you have received benefits this year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Next, we talked about something that's not entirely benefit related, so I'll just touch on it quickly, but we started seeing attack ads against Aaron O'Toole air on the television. So I decided to go in here, take a closer look at these ads and fact check them and see what they're referring to and if the information is actually accurate. There's going to be more videos coming out like that when there's other ads if we head into an election soon. So feel free to check that out if that's something you're interested in. Then we talked about a story that sort of revealed that the CRA might have been hacked, or at least that's what we thought at the time. You see, the CRA took various people's emails off of their accounts and that locked them out of their accounts. They weren't able to log in because the email address that was on file was removed by the CRA. And they didn't really give people a good idea of why this was happening and what was going on. And given the CRA's past history of being hacked, well, people thought that the CRA may have lost their information or it had been exposed. Now, this ends up not being the case, or at least the CRA says it wasn't the case. It looks like they actually found people's email addresses and password combinations on the dark web. They took that list and fact-checked it against their own database of the logins for various CRA members, and if it matched, they removed that email address to make sure somebody else couldn't log into your account on your behalf without you knowing. Now, there have been a couple updates to this story that I may make a video on in the future, but based on the information that's come down the pipeline from various government oversight agencies, they're saying, hey, the CRA, you didn't do a good job in this instance. You need to inform people of what's going on when they receive emails that are concerning. And even though the CRA had the information of what was going on, at least for the first little while, they didn't release that, and that caused a lot of concern for people. people. So there might be more information coming out on that soon. Then there are two different videos in which we talk about the potential extension coming down the pipeline for the CRB. Now, when these videos were made, we didn't know that that was something that was actually going to happen, which is what we're going to talk about here in a minute. But you can still go back and check out these videos if you want to see, one, how things are heating up in the House of Commons, and on a couple arguments between Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau. And the second one covers two reports that sort of have been done by outside agencies, and it sort of evaluates how well Canada has done in their pandemic response from a monetary side. So if you're interested in that, check out that video about the two reports. Over the past 2 weeks, we also talked about a new universal basic income or guaranteed livable income bill that was just introduced into the House of Commons. Now, in this video, we talk about what this bill means, what it could actually mean for you, and we talk about each different political party's stance on this hot button issue. Now, there's lots of people supporting UBI and lots of people are very against it. So we go over all of the pros and cons, at least in the eyes of these political parties, so that you can make a better decision for yourself as to whether or not you think it's likely this is going to be pushed forward. Then, as I alluded to before, we received some big news from the Prime Minister, and that was that his government was planning on extending every single benefit that's currently in existence. That means the CRB, the CRSB, the CRCB, as well as employment insurance. They all received potential updates and extensions. Now, whether or not all of these are going to come to fruition is a different story. For CRB, CRSB, and CRCB, it seems that these are more likely to actually happen because they don't have to have any sort of government policies put into place or legislation drafted in order to make this change a reality. Now, for EI, on the other hand, that has to make it all the way through the House of Commons before the changes are made. Then we talked about something that I find very interesting and something that I think should be a concern on the minds of every single Canadian, and that is how we as a country are creating $5 billion every week of new money in this system. We're essentially printing money or creating it out of nothing every single week at the tune of $5 billion per week. And that's going to have a lot of effects on us and our society. So in this video, we talk a lot about how exactly that's happening, the exact process for how this is happening, why it's happening, and what it could mean for you. Then we went into more detail about the CRB and EI extension. And specifically for this video, we went through and we read all of the exact wording of how this was going to actually pan out. Now, one interesting takeaway that we got from this was the difference between legislation and regulation, and how EI extensions can't just happen and they have to work through the House of Commons. So we talk a lot more about that in detail. Next, a new interview was released with Employment Minister Carla Qualtrough. Now, this was on the CBC show Power and Politics, and in this interview, she goes into some previously undiscussed details of these extensions, how they're going to roll out, and how likely it is that after these 3 months of extension, she talks about how likely it is that this is going to be extended again. Now, many people are predicting that come June, they're going to extend it to September again, essentially covering the entire September to September period, right? September 2020 was the beginning of CRB. Now they're saying September 2021 could be. And in this video, we go over what data they're going to use to determine whether or not they're going to extend it again. Then we talked about something near and dear to my heart, because if you don't already know, I'm a realtor in the Greater Toronto area. We talked about the housing market and some new statements that were just made by the governor of the Bank of Canada that might have you a little bit concerned. Now, if you're anything like me, you're seeing huge raises in the prices of housing around your area. Now, some markets it's not so much, but I think this is a topic that sort of touches on a lot of concerns that many Canadians have about the gap in inequality, with many new buyers not being able to buy and potentially an entire generation being priced out of the housing market. So if you're interested in that, check out that video. And finally, we talk about some delays that are currently going on in the House of Commons for benefits. Now, if you had remembered back in November when they released the fall economic update, they announced an expansion of the child benefit. Now, this is going to be a $300 per quarter, or $1,200 in all of 2021. That was going to be the extension or beefing up of that Canada child benefit. Now, that still hasn't passed through the House of Commons because it's tied up in a bill and it's being constantly debated. It's been debated 8 times over the course of the 3 months, and it seems like this is going to be delayed at least a little bit more. We also talk about how this could happen in terms of the EI extension, as well as some changes to the CRB application. So I know that's a whole lot of information and a whole lot of videos to take a look at, but I recommend you pick one or two of them that are most interesting to you and get informed on what's been going on over the past couple of weeks. And if you can think of anyone, a friend, a family member that would find some of this information beneficial, feel free to share this channel with them. There's a share button there. You can send them this video and hopefully it can help them out too. And of course, if you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep on getting Canadian updates like this. And there's not enough Canadian content on the internet, so to support the channel, you can click those buttons. Thanks so much. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really hope this video helped you out at least a little bit, and I'll see you next time. This channel is supported by viewers like you. Thanks, channel members.